A family we are working with bought this house for €500,000 and we will put that to the test in this video. Was it a good idea to buy the house? Did they make a really good deal or did they pay too much? And what are the real costs now after buying the property? How much money will the house save them or cost them over the next years? All answers in this PerFinEx Real Estate video. What I really love about this family is that they are as standard as it gets. So many of you guys watching will be in kind of the same scenario. They are married, both employed with income around 70K each, around 30 years old, and earlier this year their first baby was born. So now there's only one thing missing for their perfect family story: a home, right? And that's why they bought a house that looks very similar to this, about 40 minutes by car and a little over 1 hour with public transport from Stuttgart. Why don't we show you the exact house and location they bought? Because I want to respect their privacy, so we're not going to publish their address online in front of hundreds or thousands of people. We'll show you real pictures later on from the inside, but no outside and no address. Coincidentally, my mom lives also in the Stuttgart area, in fact, very close to the house they bought. And because the house was on ImmoScout, my mom and her husband, who works in the construction business for about 40 years, visited the house. So we have an insider report from an expert who was inside the actual house. And we also asked other real estate experts in our network, the head of the fix and flip company providing Munich's finest, for example, what they think is the real value of the house. We asked 4 real estate experts independently of each other, and here's what came out. The house cost 490K, which they financed 100% from the bank. On top of that came a little over 43,000 euro in closing costs in Baden-Württemberg, including the agent. That's what they paid out of their pockets. They fixed the interest rate for 10 years at 4.2% and pay 1% principal, bringing their monthly rate to 2,123 euros. That's a lot of interest, you say? Correct. Over the next 10 years, they will pay 194,000 euro in interest, and until their loan is paid off in almost 40 years, they would pay 512,000 euro in interest, given the interest stays the same. So the first question we can raise here: is it worth to pay 512,000 euro interest for a property that cost 490K? And keep in mind that homeowners cannot deduct interest from their taxes here in Germany. Only real estate investors can. Real estate investors would get over 215,000 euro tax benefits with a 42% income tax rate. Homeowners pay the entire interest out of their own pocket. So for all you guys believing in the concept that rent is a waste of money, can you tell me what that 512,000 euro are exactly? If rent is a waste of money, interest is a waste of money as well. Or is it not? But the real question is, what did they get for their money? A house with 120 square meter living space standing on over 800 square meter plot, which is, according to my mom and her husband, who have been searching for houses in the area for years now, extremely rare. Because all other plots are usually just 400 square meters. And since we are in Baden-Württemberg, we can find out exactly what a plot is worth with the Zentrale Bodenrichtwertinformationssystem der Gutachterausschüsse in Baden-Württemberg. Short, BORIS. And with the Bodenrichtwert of 390 euro per square meter times the size of the plot, we get 323,000 euro for the plot alone. Now we could add a premium because the plot is bigger than what is currently on the market, but let's just leave it at that. So we can complement our hard facts. They basically paid 323,000 euro for the plot and 167,000 for the house that was built in the early 60s. Which brings us to the next point, because the condition of the house matches the construction year, is what the exposé is saying. And oh boy, is that true. Here's what our 4 real estate experts found in the exposé in minimum renovation costs. We all know you can put millions of euros in a property, right? You can put in golden showers. Golden shower stands for something else? Alright then. There's no limit to renovations. You could build a $100 million mega mansion like Drake, but that's not the point. So we asked the experts for the minimum renovation cost to make the necessary renovation to have a decent home. This is the real bathroom in the house. Here we have at least 10,000 euro for new water taps, replacing probably old rusted pipes that are over 60 years old, and getting rid of this enormous heating thing. And an additional 10k if they wanted to renew the tiles to something more 2023, which is optional of course. And the exposé mentions a separate toilet and a basement, but there's no pictures in the exposé. I wonder why that is, and how much that would cost to renovate. This is the kitchen and the living room. Here we have at least 30,000 euro for the heating system because the whole house doesn't have any radiators. It all works with a central oil heating. And another 10k for new electrics, which is interesting because they talked to the bank that said 30,000 euro for new electrics. Pretty big difference between what our experts say to what the couple found out themselves, which I'm pretty sure we can clarify in just a moment why that is. And for optional costs, 30,000 euro for a new kitchen if you want to replace the 60-year-old stuff, 20k for new floors, lamps, painting all the walls, and 8k for the disposal of the old furniture. So far for the inside with pictures from the real house. And now we come to the big bucks with pictures from a house that looks very similar to theirs. Because privacy. You know, according to the exposé, their house has energy efficiency class H with over 310 kilowatt hours. Which is no wonder because the house is from the early 1960s. So if they don't want energy costs to eat them alive, because energy class H costs more than 20 euro per square meter, while energy class A plus is less than 2 euro per square meter, they need to renovate the house from the outside. That would be minimum 30k for new windows and frames, 40k for the insulation of the facade, including the construction frame, and now comes the big hammer. 30k for the insulation of the roof, that is also from the 1960s. And if you renovate a roof in Baden-Württemberg, you have to put solar panels on it, mandatory by law. That is another 30k for the solar panels, as well as at least 7k for the battery, which would be optional, but highly recommended. Also recommended would be to get rid of the fiber cement, which two of our experts are pretty sure is on their garage. Why? Because it's known to be cancerous and they raise their child in this home. So you'll probably want to get rid of these old materials that are dangerous for their health. That would be another 20k with a special disposal that is required for fiber cement. And now that we got all the costs, we come back to the fact that our experts said 10k for new electrics and they were told 30k for new electrics. Where do you find all these handymen to do those jobs? And how do you know they are doing a good job without ripping you off? If we're honest to ourselves, most of us can't do it on our own, myself included. I know people who could do this, but I can't do it on my own. And if you're like me and you know your limits, you hire a construction supervisor, Bauleiter in Germany, that has to charge 10% to 15% of the overall construction costs according to the German fee structure of architects and engineers. Summing it all up, we have 180k for the absolute minimum costs if they do everything on their own, and 316,250 euro if they want to make sure everything is done professionally. Does any one of you remember what we said earlier that the house is worth? It was 490,000 total purchasing price, 323,000 for the plot, according to the official statistic of Baden-Württemberg, and 167,000 for the house. Now, if you have at least 180,000 to 316,000 renovation costs, that means the house is worth less than zero. And that's what all four of our experts agreed on independently without talking to each other. That's a tough one to digest. And this video was also tough for me to do. Believe you me. Because I know the couple, they will see this video because I talked to them about this. And the last thing that I want to do with this video is to make fun of them or read any nasty stuff from you guys in the comments. I just don't want you guys to make the same mistakes. We all work very hard for our money, and they could have rented this house in the same town, which is larger, newer, has more rooms, almost the same plot size, for 1,400 euros a month. Now they pay 2,123 euros a month to the bank, out of which 1,715 euros is interest alone. So they could have lived way cheaper than they do now and invested the 180,000 to 316,000 in whatever that will support them and their child for the rest of their lives. Properties paying them rental income, ETFs paying dividends, whatever. Just my humble opinion as a financial advisor that tries to help you make the most of however money is available to you. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments, but stay respectful, and I'll see you in the next video.